Have you ever stood in a courtroom with no prosecutor, no defense attorney, no jury, but only you and a judge? It is as if the sailors have read the Hebrew Bible that calls the one true God Yehovah HaShofet, Yehovah the judge. The pagan sailors are ready to accept his judgment alone for their fate. But what about you? Are you ready for such a ruling? Let's keep studying. If you're still here, that means you're on that dive boat with us. Even though you may not have put on the scuba gear, you are in the process with her. I can't let you go that. We've got a few more verses. And in this one, we've got verse 14 and verse 15. Jonah chapter 1, verse 14, according to the NIV, it says this: "Then they cried to the Lord." Now, I expect Keith to say this. I have a little bit of a problem with what they're saying. The reason is because of the Hebrew words. This is really interesting. Here's what it says in Hebrew. Vayikreu El Yehovah. That is what it says in Hebrew. And what they're saying is Vayikreu means they cried. Now, here's where I have to challenge them a bit, because there is a word for to cry out, and that is the word vayizaku. Now, both of these words are right now on the screen. You can see the word that they're calling to cry out, but it's two different Hebrew words. Now, here's why I want to do this. There are some verses that use the exact three words that we're seeing here. The first word is kara. The second word is El, and the third word is Yud, He, Vav, He. Now, I've talked about this in the past. We're going to talk about it some more. But I want to give you 5 verses that use similar grammatical structures, definitely the same root word for these three words. The first one, Judges 15:18. Because he, Samson, was very thirsty, Vayikra El Yehovah, he cried out. 1 Samuel 12:17. Is it not wheat harvest now? I, Samuel, will call out. Ekra El Yehovah. 1 Kings 17:20. Then he, Elijah, cried out to Yud He Vav He. Vayikra El Yehovah. Psalm 99:6. Moses and Aaron and Samuel, they called on the Lord, is the English, and that is Korim El Yehovah. And in 1 Chronicles 21:24, he, David, called on the Lord. Vayikra El Yehovah. Now, here's something that I think is absolutely amazing. These Phoenician, polytheistic, pagan sailors are using three words in the way that we find them in the Hebrew Bible that are only used by Israelites, by Hebrews: Samson, Samuel, Elijah, Moses, Aaron, and Samuel, David. These are all the people of Israel. How is it that Jonah, the author, puts into the mouth of the polytheistic pagans the words Vayikra? The NIV missed it. The NIV says, then they cried to the Lord. Wait, they cried to the Lord. They cried to their false gods in fear when they feared the storm that came upon them. But this time, these sailors have come into an encounter with the God that Jonah is preaching about on that boat. I am convinced. Jonah may not be at Nineveh, but he's preaching, he's speaking, he's prophetically speaking. He's letting them know it is Yehovah. He is the God of heaven. He is the creator of the dry land and the sea. And so in the mouth of these pagans, they use three words that are reserved for the Israelites, for the Hebrews, the people of God that he created, his special possession. It's in the mouth of the pagans. And what did they do? And it says, and they cried to Yehovah. Here's what I believe is happening. This is not a cry of distress. This is actually a prayer. Here we have Phoenician pagan sailors calling out in prayer using the personal, profound, and powerful name Yehovah. This is amazing to me. It's prophetic. God says when he was taking the people out of Egypt, he said, hey, listen, I'm going to do this amazing thing so that my name would be spoken and understood and known all over the earth. And sure enough, prophetically, it's happening on this storm-tossed ship that's thinking about breaking up. This storm-tossed ship with a bunch of pagans we're not supposed to care about. Maybe that God's not supposed to care about. This storm-tossed ship where we've got a prophet that's trying to run, who's come to the place of surrender and acceptance. And now he's got the pagans calling out to the one true God. This is not a cry of distress to multiple gods like they did in 1:5, hoping that their false gods will hear. This is a prayer with passion to the one true God with a name presenting two very specific requests and an important truth. Jonah 1:14. Then they cried to Yehovah and they said, "O Yehovah, please do not let us die for taking this man's life." Sticking with the NIV. "Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, O Lord, have done as you pleased." We have been working behind the scenes with the best producer you can imagine. Our producer has been working to make this as understandable as possible with the graphics and all of that, but we need you to participate with us. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Push the bell icon, and let's keep studying in the deep dive Bible study into the book of Jonah. Now, folks, I'm sorry, I've got to slow down. I get excited, and the reason I get excited is that it's just literally jumping off the page. How the verse starts in Hebrew is a word anah, and that word can be please. And then after they say please Yehovah, then it's alna. Again, here's this nun and aleph again, which is kind of like a please. But here's what officially what we can say. This could be seen this: please do not please let us perish. It's the cohortative verb functioning as an indirect command. We must look at context to determine the level of desirability being expressed by these sailors. On account of the soul of this man, back to the chief rope puller in 1:6, if your God acts, we won't perish. They cried to the Lord in the NIV, "Oh Lord, please do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man." Now again, we've got to slow down. Do not hold us accountable for the innocent blood of Jonah. This is a rare spelling of this word with the added aleph. The word I'm talking about is the word naki, the nun, the kaf, the yud, and the aleph. Usually there's no aleph there. However, if we go to Joel 4:19, we see this, and in fact, the JPS commentary says it this way: the adjective naki is spelled with a terminal aleph to emphasize the I sound. JPS commentary. Joel 4:19. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom a desolate waste, because of the outrage to the people of Judah in whose land they shed the blood of the Naki, Nun, Kof, Yud, and Aleph. Only 2 times that we actually see this added Aleph. The third thing is the truth. Now, here's the point. They made 2 requests. Don't let us die because of Jonah. The second one, please don't hold us accountable for innocent blood. Now, they've made a decision. I mean, these sailors, they've already made a decision. They probably talked to Jonah. They've had conversations. There's conversations they had with Jonah that do not show up in Scripture. One of them we saw in the parentheses in the NIV. Jonah told them, "I'm fleeing from Yehovah." And maybe they thought, well, listen, you're fleeing from God? What's the big deal? Why should you have to die over that? They're going to Yehovah and they're saying, listen, we've made a determination. He's innocent. But don't hold us accountable if we got to kill him. In other words, they're assuming that if they lift him up and pitch him to the sea, he's done. He's dead. Here's the truth, however, and I love this phrase. The NIV says this: "For you, O Lord, have done as you please." That certainly is one way to translate it. Here's what they're really saying. You are Yehovah, and you do what you desire, some translations would say. You picked Jonah, you picked our boat, you picked the storm, you picked the lot. We acknowledge that you are the one true God, and you do as you... Wait a second. What is this word as you please? What is this word as you desire? If we go just a little deeper, if I take one of my grammatical tools, the Brown Driver Briggs as an example, it says that the word really means his will. What is the will of God versus the whimsical desire of God? This is not like you to do what you desire. Maybe you feel like doing this, or you maybe feel like do this. No, this has to do, the word is saying you do as your will. Your will is what we're talking about here. Now, Jeremiah 9:23. But let him who boasts boast about this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Yehovah who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For in these I delight, I desire, or hafatzti, I will. I love this. And another one that I use is Halot, the Hebrew Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament. It says also this is the word to be willing. Look at Isaiah. Check it for yourself. Isaiah 42:21 and again, Jonah 1:14. For you, O Yehovah, by your will have you brought this about. Whatever Yehovah desires, no, whatever Yehovah wills, he does in heaven and earth, in the seas, and on all the depths. This is Psalms 135:6. Did the pagan sailors know this verse? Can I read it again? Whatever Yehovah desires, or the word that we understand, whatever Yehovah wills, he does in heaven and earth, in the sea, and all the depths. Psalms 135:6. After a hastily called court case, the verdict is in by the jury. We find the defendant Jonah not guilty, clean, innocent. But the judge overrules the jury and sentences Jonah to death by drowning. So it seems to the sailors. But hey, folks, we've got to read the story. We got to keep reading. This is something that I talk about all the time. So many denominations, Christian denominations, build their whole denomination on a verse. But what I like to say to people is this: keep reading. You got to keep reading. You got to read context. If you don't have context, you can make some really bad decisions. There can be some assumptions that you make if you don't have context. That's why I love this entire series. We've been dealing with 3 words: language, history, and context. And for those that are willing to scuba dive, we get to learn some pronunciation, some explanation, some translation. And folks, if you go to level 3, I'm going to teach you how to do your own application commentary. Are you kidding me? That's where it gets really fun. And I'm hoping that I'm giving you enough, folks. I have to apologize. There's so much more that will be in the written form in our Level 2 Biblical Hebrew audio course. Become a premium member. Get access to not only the Biblical Hebrew audio course, all of our great presentations, all of our information, inspiration, revelation, audio, video, written material. It is going to be a party. I hope that you're going to join me because I'm having a blast. I hope that you'll have a blast with us at bfainternational.com. Hey, folks, I found this when I actually taped the promo for this series. It's a shark tooth. We are taking territory, and we're going to do that with your help. We need you to like. We need you to comment. We need you to share. Embed it on your website if you'd like. Let's keep sending this message around the world about the deep dive Bible study into the book of Jonah. Are you having fun yet? Because I'm having a blast. I'm telling you, I'm looking at the JPS right now. I think this is kind of funny. Jonah chapter 1, verse 15 in the JPS, and it says this: and they heaved Jonah overboard. No, that's certainly one possibility, but that's not what it says in Hebrew. What it says in Hebrew is literally, they lifted up Jonah and they pitched him. They cast him. So for some reason, the JPS decided that they're going to take 2 words, to lift up, and to cast, to make 1 word, to heave. Now, here's the point. The Lord cast in 1:4, they said. And they flung in 1:5. And in 1:15, it says they heaved. All 3 of these words are from the same root, tool, tet, Vav, and Lamed. But more importantly, they did not translate the first word we already discussed, Vayisu. Where is this word translated in the JPS? It just is not there. Let's continue. And it says, and they heaved Jonah overboard, and the sea stopped raging. So the sea was going and walking. And now after receiving Jonah, it stood, literally, is the word that we find. It says that they lifted up Jonah. This is what the Hebrew says. They lifted up Jonah. They pitched him to the sea. Vaya'amod. And this is the word to stand. Literally, it was walking, and then it stood. And what did it stand from? Or what is it that it stood from? It stood from its rage. Now, folks, I think this is really interesting. The word is right there. You see mizapo, which means its rage. Now, I love this in Isaiah 30:30. Here is a Hebrew word pun. You don't get to see these explained often in English, but in Hebrew, they're on every page. Here's an example where it says this, and display the sweep of his arm, Isaiah 30:30, in raging wrath. And the two words that they're using is the word rage and the word nose. That nose that flares is like anger. So literally what's happening is that it's rage. It's something that's the storm. I mean, it's upset. It's frustrated. It's moving. It's waiting. Where is Jonah? We want to stop. We're getting tired. We're upset. Give us Jonah. And sure enough, that is what happens. Now, let me go to Lost in Translation. Here is the translation of Jonah chapter 1, 14 and 15. Again, I'm looking at my Hebrew Bible. I've got the NIV, I've got the JPS. This would be my translation. Then they called to Yehovah. Who did? The pagans. Just like Yehovah said would happen. My name is going to be known everywhere. Then they called to Yehovah. This is a call of prayer. And they said, please, Yehovah, with an exclamation mark. Please do not let us perish on account of the soul of this man, and do not set upon us clean, blameless, innocent blood. Based on their understanding, they're seeing Jonah as innocent. For you are Yehovah. That's really what they're saying there. For you are Yehovah. As you will, you do. Then they lifted up Jonah. And I can imagine them at this point saying a prayer. They're in the midst of prayer. They lifted up Jonah. They put their hands in the air. They got Jonah lifted up, and they pitch him to the sea, and the sea stood from its rage. How exciting is that? How amazing is that? What kind of a message are we getting here? Here you've got pagans. They probably had false gods. They were calling to false gods, it says in 1:5. And now you've got these pagans. It's almost like the creator of the universe, Maestro, has put together a beautiful symphony on the sea. He calls the wind, he calls the waves, he calls the boat, he calls the pagans, he calls the prophet, and all of it comes together, and we've got this amazing, beautiful picture of pagans lifting up the prophet to Yehovah and casting him into the sea. Somebody's listening right now. And they're saying to themselves, I've been defined as a pagan. I've been defined as just a person. I've been defined as one who won't do what I'm always supposed to do, but God. But Yehovah, the creator of the universe, in this one little passage gives us a beautiful picture, a beautiful story. That he is still, even in the midst of disobedience, able to reach the pagan. He is not done. He is not done, folks. He's got more. We got one more little verse we've got to look at. But first, I want you to take a look at this and get back to me. In the meantime, folks, make sure you take advantage of all the information, all the inspiration, and all the revelation that we're providing for you right now in this deep dive Bible study into the book of Jonah.
Visit bfainternational.com today and join our online academy for free. You'll get immediate access to start watching all of Keith Johnson's latest programs, including the Time Will Tell series, Rediscovering God's Clock from Israel and Beyond, the Now is the Time miniseries, based in New York City and Washington, D.C., The Road to Reformation, a 10-step study for biblical reformation. The Open Door series, 18 hours of exciting teaching from a national speaking tour. His Hallowed Name, a series on God's name that was banned from TV. Also, hear directly from Keith Johnson through weekly personal blog updates. Why delay? Visit bfainternational.com right now. Then click the Enter the Academy button. Visit us today.
You are the reason that we are here. You are the one that we're trying to reach. You are the one that may be at any number of levels. Level 1, you think the Bible's deep, but you don't want to get in. A level 2, you got your toe in, you use it maybe when you get to church or wherever, the synagogue. A level 3, you've gotten in with us, you've gotten wet, but you only go based on as much as you're able to hold your breath. Level 4, you're scuba diving with us. And I got to tell you something. Folks, let me tell you, you are going to get a chance if you go to level 4 to encounter the Word of God, even beyond the way that the pagan sailors did on the sea of the great storm. You will encounter him in a personal way. There are times, folks, as I was preparing for this, where as I mentioned before, I'd be reading my Hebrew Bible, I'd get to a verse, and I'd say, Keith, is it really saying that? And sure enough, digging, I'd come to find out that the message is so powerful, so important, so amazing. So I've provided you written information in the Biblical Hebrew audio course. You go in there, you get access to everything. Audio and videos, written material. I think it's going to be amazing. Now, folks, this last verse in this chapter, and by the way, there's something that happens in the chapter that doesn't happen in the English Bible, that only happens in the Hebrew Bible, but you're going to have to come with us in this next verse, which is going to be 116. Before we get there, make sure you go back and look through everything that you've done so far, and look at other episodes, because this verse that we're about to look at is the culmination of our pilot series. It's the culmination of chapter 1. And if I can get enough of you to say, yeah, we want to keep studying, we want to go to level 4, we're willing to put on the school gear, who knows what we're going to be able to accomplish. But let's keep studying in our deep dive Bible study into the book of Jonah with your study partner, Keith Johnson.
Shalom, Torah fans. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Tap the subscription button and the bell icon, and I promise to update weekly with in-depth biblical research. Be sure to download the new michaelrood.tv app for both mobile and home devices for even more commercial-free content.